acres now in many areas, and now they're saying, we're passing zoning countywide. You got to pay a $5,000 a year fee just to grow tomatoes in your backyard. I mean, it's really happening. And it is so hardcore what they're doing. So finish up your points, Chris, because you got interrupted by the break. Then we're going to rush through these next few calls. Then I'm going to get into the cycle we go through briefly, and then we're going to go to farmers in Arkansas and other states. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, thanks, Alex, for keeping me on, and I'll try to be quick. They have almost complete control of the poultry, hog, dairy, sheep industries. The cattle industry is the largest segment of the agriculture in the United States, and they're doing their darndest to get control of us. And through NEIS, the Food Safety Bill, the pressure on the people that have the grazing permits in federal lands, when they get complete control of the food supply in this country is when they can take over. What I have said for a long time is that people will give up their guns, they will take shots, they will do anything for a loaf of bread for their kids. And what consumers in this country need to know is that they need to help us fight our fights in these industries, in these ag industries, because if they don't, we're so far outnumbered. There's less than 2% of the American people are in the country raising grain and cattle and hogs, and the consumers need to get behind us, or else we're all going to go hungry, and we're all going to be in trouble.
Well, God bless you, Chris. What you're doing is a duty to the Republic. Thomas Jefferson, 200-plus years ago, this was the most common thing he wrote about, that we needed country gentlemen who were educated, armed with firearms, and armed with the truth. And if we ever became a centralized society, Europe only had about 10% urban then, and he talked about how that was being used to control people and how they formed paramilitary forces in the cities to go out and basically turn the farming communities in Europe into serfs. And so the same battle they were fighting 200-plus years ago, we're now fighting today, and God bless you, keep it up. For those that don't know, the numbers he just gave you are the precise numbers. You can pull these up if you'd like. Just search the term, number of Americans that are urban dwellers. It's right at 90% are urban. 90% live in cities or suburbs and are not self-sufficient in any way. They don't grow one tomato a year out on the back porch. Of the 10% roughly that are rural, most of them work at the hardware store or the Walmart or the prison or the power plant or the mine or at, trimming yards or at the veterinary clinic, whatever the case may be, or at the floral shop, whatever's in the little town, or at the dry goods shop or the gun shop. Now, most of those people love their family land. Almost all of them, if you do the study or just travel to a small town, their families, this is the same for England, Canada, France, it doesn't matter. And they're under attack everywhere. And when you study these areas, most of them have their own little plot of vegetables. They may can a little bit of it for friends and family, almost as a ritual to keep the culture alive. They may go out 4 or 5 days a year, park on the side of the road, sell jams, sell carrots, sell tomatoes, sell watermelons, whatever the case is. You see it out there. Sell pecans, sell plums, sell apples. It's all over under this bill. If there is any preparation, if you slice those peaches and put them in a can, you can't do it. And the way the legislation reads, and I've gone over this, Judah's coming on Thursday to talk more about it, that it also reads that there are inspections and fines and fees if you're growing anything for sale. Now, this is another way to shut down the farms and ranches and make you pay through those fines and fees for more bureaucrats. Now, listen, my family has been in Freestone County on my dad's side since 1829 on multiple sides. First big wave that came in, we have Mexican land grants. We've got copies of it in the old family Bible falling apart, where we bought for 3 cents an acre from the Mexican government. Now, we have a tiny piece of that property left compared to what we had. Okay? And They want to get rid of that. They want to drive people off of that land. And let me tell you, it's such a police state in Freestone County that I am an amateur astronomer. And back in college, when I had more time, whenever I'd go visit my grandma, or I'd go out to East Texas, I'd take the telescope and I'd set it up in the front yard, or I'd go out in the, in the 200 acres that's in front of their house, out there with the cows, and I'd set it up. And every time I did it, the gate would get opened, they'd drive onto our property, they'd shine lights in my face, and they'd say, I want to see if you got guns or you out here hunting. This isn't a free country. You can have the illegal alien Barack Obama's aunt on TV saying, I came here illegally, I'm on 3 forms of welfare, and I deserve it. And the police aren't going to touch her. But I don't even, and I shouldn't let them win. A, I'm too busy to go hunting. But B, every time I'm at our little deer camp, about 6 acres into our own property, we don't even have hunters on our land. When I was a kid, they did. People that pay to lease it. Every time I go hunting, the gate opens up, lights drive up, and arrogant, bloated pieces of trash game wardens come up, and you'll have a deer hanging up. They don't care if you got the sticker. They don't care if you have the tags. They let you know you're scum. Now, when I was a child, it wasn't like that. And it's like that everywhere. This isn't land of the free, home of the brave. They're not looking for poachers, folks. They're there to let you know you're their slave. And now they're training them to see what you're growing, to see what you're doing, and claiming they don't need warrants to come on your property. And this goes back to Robin Hood 800 years ago. This goes back to your family starving. You get caught with a rabbit you killed to feed your wife, and they would kill you. They would kill you. They would take you out, tie you to a pole, and slit your throat was the main way they did it. No judge, no jury, no nothing. And that's how this works. And now, I don't even want to be around them. I mean, here's an example. 3 years ago, my great-uncle since died of pancreatic cancer. He had been radiated, had part of his pancreas removed. He wanted to go hunting one more time. He thought he was going to die then. He ended up dying last year. My uncle Leonard Jones, great guy. He is out there, and I always love these reports. It's like the cop broke the neck of this 84-year-old vet, and they're like, he's a vet. Well, they hate vets even more. But a Korean vet, great guy. He was sick and didn't want to drive the deer in to have it processed. He didn't want to have to gut it himself. So my uncle and my dad got in the car to drive it into town, a county that my family literally founded. You understand, this is America. They're driving into Fairfield, 10 miles away. Our property's closer to Buffalo. They drive in there, and I wasn't there. My dad told me the story, my uncle. And the state police pull him over. And this guy got his hand on his gun. He's yelling at my uncle. And the deer has a tag on it, and he says, what do you mean you didn't kill this deer? You're going to jail. All these other state police show up. You're not allowed to transport a deer that wasn't yours. And they said, well, actually, I'm a landowner, and it's legal for a landowner to do it. And they said, shut up. Shut up. I wasn't talking to you. You know that routine where you're talking to somebody, and you talk, and they tell you, be quiet, shut up. And then more police show up, and one actually had an IQ. I guess he didn't drink enough fluoride when he was growing up. He says, no, it's legal. And that cop was like, you're lucky, I'll get you next time. I mean, this is what our country has turned into. This is what our country is. The government wants you to know that you're a slave. They want you to know that you're being watched. That's why they have that Pennsylvania TV ad where it says, Tom, nice house, nice car. What's not nice is you owe $4,000 in back taxes, and it shows a satellite watching Tom. They want you to know they're watching you. They want you to know. And they're going to put you in jail with $1 million fine. That's the AP headline. In fact, $1 million fine for garage sale. Search that term. I want to show folks. They want you to know that you are scum. Now, the illegal aliens filling up the military, driving down the wages, voting to take your guns, they're above the law. I saw another case last week in Austin where this illegal alien had run into people 3 times. He finally killed somebody, and they're not even knowing if they're going to charge him with manslaughter.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Echo, episode number 10. What you just saw was a clip by Alex Jones warning you of what is happening right now in this country. I don't know if you know, SB 510. Go and Google it. Go and call your representative and congressman.
Better yet, go to Senate.gov.
Yeah, Senate.gov.
Senate.gov, and it's right there. You can read it.
Yes.
All the hideous.
Yes.
So, yes.
But briefly, what is going to happen, we are going to lose the last part of our freedom, which is, remaining self-sufficient. Self-sufficiency is that important, because if you don't have self-sufficiency, then you're the slave of globalists and corporations. Who are the globalists? Globalists are basically a hidden network of corporations, private bankers, and basically people.
The big boys.
Yes. What they do, they are kind of united, working against individuals, you and me.
Big companies want to dominate the market pretty
Yes.
much. I mean, if you look at ConAgra, I think I mentioned this last week, but they have half the chicken market, and a lot of times their plants have so many violations, but the FDA leaves them alone because they're big. I mean, the FDA really goes after this small person, and so these big companies want control of the markets, which they've had almost 100% control for a long time. I mean, there have been family farms throughout the years that have stayed open, but again, there's such a push now to get back to that kind of a lifestyle that these big companies are trying to hang on to their power. And at least that's my take on it. And so I think it's really important to look at this bill, to call your senators, just to keep this power grab from happening. If you look at the FDA, they're trying to implement a lot of these things already anyway. There are undercover, and I might have mentioned this last time too, but there are undercover cops that will go out to people selling squash on the side of the road, like Alex Jones mentioned, and they try to ask them if they followed all these regulations that aren't even law yet. So the law will give the FDA power to implement the things that they're already trying to implement. I'm actually from Indiana. Indiana has a huge Amish population. People think of Amish as Pennsylvania, but Indiana has a huge Amish population. They'll go in and harass all the Amish people in Indiana, and it's just, I mean, it's almost funny. If it weren't so sad, it would be funny to see these FDA people go out and harass these Amish farmers about their about their growing habits and all of this and what they wore when they were watering their plants. It's just, I mean, there are just so many of these FDA things that are just ridiculous. So.
And to Amish is actually their lifestyle.
Amish people are, not only is that their lifestyle, Amish people are some of the few people in this country that have stayed self-sufficient because they haven't had to sell off land. They keep land in the family, and a lot of times they have strong families. I know that there have been some things that have come out in recent years about abuse within the Amish community, but really Amish people have strong families and they're very clean people.
Yes.
I've actually had the privilege to be acquaintances with some of these people, just being from Indiana, and there are just Amish scattered all throughout the countryside, and I have friends in Pennsylvania. I've actually visited Amish schoolhouses and so forth, and again become friends with some of the not friends, but at least acquaintances with some of the Amish and Mennonite people, and they have very clean homes, and their food preparation, they're very clean people. So yes. I don't see why there would be.
And I guess because they don't use the pesticides and chemicals that we are used to, and actually makes us.
And their water isn't fluoridated because most of them have a well. Most of them get their water from a well.
Well, that's a great thing. That's actually my idea. So I guess I'm an Amish.
Well, you don't have a long enough beard, Q.
Exactly, and I have to shave my mustache also, but. No, but seriously, I've been in Indiana. I have friends in Muncie, Indiana, and I used to drive there, and I could see the Amish villages over there. It's fantastic. It's a great way of life, and sometimes I envy them I envy them that, you know, I wish I had the opportunity to live like that.
Well, in Indiana is